Philippines before the American Colonial Period. Before the American colonization in the Philippines, the country was under Spanish rule. Prior to that, it was home to various ethno-linguistic groups that traded with China, India, and the Malay Peninsula. The Filipino from back then practiced animistic religions involving nature and has developed societal structures. Small political units called barangays are ruled by datus, signifying that there were early political organizations within the island. Seafaring and agriculture thrived, and there has been an intricate web of exchange with other nearby Southeast Asian nations.
Next is the Philippines' journey to independence in the American colonial period. Before gaining independence, first is the Philippine Commission and Assembly of 1907. The U.S. created a bicameral legislature, which is the upper house, or the Philippine Commission, appointed by the U.S., and the lower house, or the Philippine Assembly, which was elected by Filipinos. This allowed limited Filipino political participation, but kept ultimate authority in American hands. Next is the resident commissioners in the U.S. Congress. The Philippines was allowed to send 2 resident commissioners to the U.S. House of Representatives. Although they could not vote, they represented Filipino interests and pushed for independence in American political discussions. Next is the Tidings-McDuffie Act of 1934. This U.S. law outlined a 10-year plan for Philippine independence. It created the Commonwealth of the Philippines, which had its own constitution, president, and legislature, though it remained under U.S. supervision until full independence. Next is the 1934 Philippine Independence Act, or the Tidings-McDuffie Law. This law was accepted by the Philippine legislature in May 1934. The Tidings-McDuffie Law states that the Philippines would establish a government called the Philippine Commonwealth, which marks the beginning of a 10-year transition period. Once the 10 years of nearly autonomous governance is completed, the Philippines would be recognized as an independent republic, and the United States would no longer hold sovereignty over the archipelago. In February 1935, a draft for a constitutional convention of the Philippine Commonwealth was finished and was approved by Roosevelt. This draft became the framework for the Philippine Commonwealth as well as for the future Philippine Republic. National elections for the new Philippine government were held in September 1935, and 2 months later, on November 15, 1935, the Philippine Commonwealth was officially inaugurated with Manuel L. Quezon as its first president. This became an event known worldwide in which the United States, a strong colonial presence, was preparing to set its colony free. The Philippine Commonwealth during the 10-year transitional period. During the first few years of the Philippine Commonwealth, the government ran into major problems concerned with the national defense, social justice, national integration, economic development, and cultural identity. A representative of the U.S. President known as a High Commissioner was appointed, courtesy of the Tidings-McDuffie Law, to report on the progress of the Philippine Commonwealth as well as its legislative, executive, and judicial actions. Next are the similarities between the American and Philippine government. The Philippine Constitution is a virtual duplicate of the United States Constitution, specifically the portion that contains the Bill of Rights. The Philippine government is an organized framework consisting of 3 separate interdependent branches that is similar to the United States, which are the executive, legislative, and judicial branches. The head of the executive branch of the government is the president, who is also the commander-in-chief. In a democratic government, the president is elected by popular vote. And just as the President of the United States resides in the White House, the executive seat of the Philippines resides in the Malacanang Palace. Legislative power in the Philippines is held by the Congress, which includes the Senate and the House of Representatives. They have the ability to make, alter, and revoke laws. The Philippine Supreme Court consists of a Chief Justice and 14 Associate Justices, similar to the U.S. Supreme Court. They hold judicial power, and their duty includes settling controversies involving legally demandable and enforceable rights. Aside from that, the Philippine Constitution has similarities with the U.S. constitutional rights, which can be found in the Bill of Rights, such as freedom of speech and expression, rights against unreasonable searches and seizures, freedom of due process, equal protection under the law, and etc. The Philippine criminal justice system is composed of 5 pillars, which are comparable to the components of the U.S. criminal justice system, which are as follows: law enforcement, prosecution, courts, corrections, and communities. Similar to the U.S. legal system, the Philippine Constitution, statutes enacted by the Congress, treaties and conventions, judicial decisions, and customary law are the main sources of law in the Philippines.
Present-day implications of the American influence on the Philippine government, its impact on the modern-day Philippines. The political and legal framework of the Philippines today closely resembles that of the United States because of the direct result of the American Commonwealth Period. The Philippine government adopts a system modeled after the American democratic principles. This structural alignment is not limited to domestic governments, but also extends to international strategies. The Mutual Defense Treaty of 1951, making a solidified lasting alliance between the Philippines and the United States. Modern agreements such as Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement, EDCA, have expanded American access to military bases in the Philippines, and joint exercises like the Balikatan. These alliances sustain the relevance to the U.S. influence on the Philippines government and strategic defense policy, particularly now with rising dispute and tension in the South China Sea.